The massive alien fleet hung in space above Earth like storm clouds before thunder. Captain James stood on the bridge of humanity's newest warship, the Titan, watching the enemy vessels through the viewport. Each alien ship looked like a floating fortress of crystal and metal, bristling with energy weapons that could turn planets to dust. "Sir, their shields are unlike anything we've seen," Lieutenant Smith reported from the tactical station. "Our plasma cannons can't even scratch them." The year was 2157. Humanity had been spacefaring for only 30 years when the Dominion arrived. These ancient beings had conquered 1,000 worlds with their advanced technology. Their message to Earth was simple: surrender or die. But humans had always been stubborn creatures. In the depths of Earth's military research facility, Dr. Johnson made a strange discovery while studying the alien shield frequencies. "It's impossible," he muttered, running the test again. The readings didn't lie. The alien shields, perfect against energy weapons and projectiles, had one bizarre weakness. They couldn't stop objects moving at low velocity. Anything slower than a bullet passed right through. General Anderson reviewed the findings with disbelief. "You're telling me their shields can stop a nuclear missile, but not a thrown rock?" "Exactly, sir. It seems their civilization never encountered this problem before. Every species they fought used energy weapons or high-velocity projectiles." The general's eyes lit up with an idea that seemed insane. "Then we'll give them something they've never seen." Within weeks, Earth's shipyards buzzed with activity. Engineers worked around the clock, not installing new laser arrays or missile tubes, but something far more primitive. They welded massive mechanical arms to ship hulls. They created launching systems for oversized spears. They built retractable sword-like rams that could extend from a ship's nose. The aliens watched Earth's preparations with amusement. Commander Vex of the Dominion fleet sent another transmission. "Humans, your primitive attempts at resistance are entertaining. No species has survived our assault in 10,000 years. You have 3 days to surrender." Captain James ran his hand along the control panel for the Titan's new primary weapon, a 100-meter-long titanium blade that could extend from the ship's front. His crew had trained for weeks in an entirely new form of combat. Space jousting, they called it. It sounded ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But it might be their only chance. "All ships, this is Admiral Cooper," the con system crackled. "I know what we're about to do seems like madness. We're taking starships capable of faster-than-light travel and strapping swords to them. But humanity has always found strength in the unexpected. Our ancestors fought with sticks and stones before they learned to forge metal. Today, we return to those roots, but among the stars." The human fleet 50 ships strong moved into formation. Each vessel bore its medieval weapons proudly. The Neptune carried a massive battering ram. The Mars bristled with harpoon launchers. The Jupiter's sides opened to reveal catapult systems designed to hurl enormous titanium spears. As Earth's defenders approached the alien fleet, the Dominion ships powered their weapons. Brilliant beams of energy lanced through space. Several human ships took hits, their shields flaring and failing. But they kept coming, engines burning bright. "Sir, we're entering their shield perimeter," Smith announced. Captain James gripped his command chair. "All hands, prepare for close combat. We're about to show these aliens how humans used to settle disputes." The Titan's blade extended with a grinding mechanical roar that vibrated through the entire ship. Around them, the other human vessels deployed their own primitive weapons. They looked absurd spaceships wielding swords and spears against an enemy with technology beyond imagination. But as the first human ship, the Neptune, passed through the alien shields like they weren't even there and drove its ram deep into a Dominion cruiser's hull, the laughter stopped. The impossible was happening. Humanity was bringing a knife to a gunfight, and somehow, impossibly, the knife was winning. The Neptune's ram pierced through the Dominion cruiser like a needle through cloth. Metal screamed against metal as the human ship drove deeper into the alien vessel's hull. Inside the Neptune, Captain Miller gritted his teeth against the impact forces. "Reverse engines. Pull us out." He commanded Dot as the Neptune withdrew. Atmosphere and debris vented from the massive hole in the alien ship. The Dominion cruiser listed. To one side, its lights flickering before secondary explosions tore it apart. First blood belonged to humanity. "My God, it actually worked," Lieutenant Smith breathed on the Titan's bridge. Captain James had no time to celebrate. "All ships, attack pattern Alpha. Stay close, stay fast. Don't give them time to adapt." The human fleet scattered into smaller attack groups, each diving toward different targets. The Titan led 3 ships straight at the center of the alien. Formation. James watched the distance counter drop rapidly. 5,000 kilometers. 3,000. 1,000. Deploy the blade. The massive sword extended with a mechanical roar. Around them, the Mars and Venus followed suit, their own weapons gleaming in the starlight. They looked like ancient knights charging into battle. If knights rode starships instead of horses, Commander Vex watched the approaching humans with disbelief. In 10,000 years of conquest, the Dominion had never seen anything like this. These primitives were turning space combat into a brawl. Evasive maneuvers. Vex ordered, but it was too late. The Titan's blade caught a Dominion destroyer across its middle. The alien ship's shields flickered uselessly as the titanium sword carved through its hull. James felt the impact through his entire ship, a grinding vibration that made his teeth ache. The destroyer split into 2 pieces, each spinning away into the void. Nearby, the Mars had harpooned a smaller alien vessel and was reeling it in like a caught fish. The alien ship fired its energy weapons desperately, but at such close range, it couldn't target effectively. The Mars's crew activated their secondary weapon, a massive hydraulic fist that punched through the captured ship's bridge. "They're animals," one of Vex's officers exclaimed. "They fight like savage animals." But these animals were winning. The Venus spun its massive flail 300 tons of solid metal on a reinforced cable. The weapon wrapped around an alien frigate, crushing it like an empty can. The Jupiter launched a volley of enormous spears, each one finding its mark, pinning Dominion ships like butterflies in a collection. Captain James spotted the largest alien battleship trying to retreat. "Oh no, you don't. Engine room, give me everything." The Titan surged forward, its blade still extended. The battleship fired its main cannon, a beam of energy that could crack a moon in half. But at this range, the targeting systems couldn't track the human ship's erratic movement. The beam went wide, missing by mere meters. Brace for impact. The Titan's sword drove into the battleship's engine section. The blade went deep, severing power conduits and fuel lines. James immediately ordered a hard turn, using the embedded sword as a pivot point. The Titan's momentum carried it in. Devastating arc, ripping a 100-meter gash along the battleship's hull. Inside the alien vessel, chaos reigned. The Dominion had shields against radiation, armor against projectiles, countermeasures against missiles. But they had nothing to stop a giant piece of sharpened metal wielded by humans who had lost their minds. "Commander, we've lost 7 ships," an officer reported to Vex. "Their tactics are impossible to predict." Vex watched another of his cruisers fall to the Neptune's ram. The human ship had learned to strike and withdraw quickly, like a boxer throwing jabs. Each hit left another alien vessel crippled or destroyed. "Order all ships to increase distance," Vex commanded. "We need space to use our weapons effectively." But the humans wouldn't let them retreat. Like wolves sensing weakness, they pressed their attack. The Saturn used its mechanical claws to literally tear pieces off an alien scout ship. The Mercury had deployed chains with spiked balls, swinging them in wide arcs that cleared space around it. 20 minutes into the battle, the impossible had become reality. The Dominion fleet, technology superior in every way, was being torn apart by humans, wielding the space-age equivalent of clubs and knives. "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth," Smith reported to Captain James. Admiral Cooper's voice filled the bridge. "All ships, press the attack. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't need fancy weapons to win. We just need the will to fight." James smiled grimly as he targeted another alien ship. The battle was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Asterisk, asterisk. Commander Vex stood in his command chamber, studying the battle recordings for the 100th time. His 4 eyes tracked the human ships as they carved through his fleet. Each replay made less sense than the last. "Increase retreat distance to 50,000 kilometers," he ordered. "Keep all ships in tight formation. If the humans want to play with swords, we'll stay out of reach." The Dominion fleet pulled back, engines glowing bright purple as they accelerated away from Earth. Human ships gave chase, but at this distance, the alien weapons had time to target and fire. 3 human vessels exploded in quick succession, their primitive weapons useless at range. "Finally," Vex said, "now we fight on our terms." But Captain James had expected this. On the Titan's bridge, he opened a channel to the fleet. "Execute Operation Dust Storm." The cargo bays of every human ship opened simultaneously. Thousands of tons of metal debris, asteroid fragments, and reflective chaff poured into space. Within minutes, a massive cloud of junk spread between the 2 fleets, blocking sensors and scattering energy beams. "What are they doing?" Vex's officer asked. The answer came seconds later. Human ships burst through the debris cloud from unexpected angles, using the interference to mask their approach. The Dominion's targeting computers, designed to track objects across empty space, couldn't handle the chaos of millions of floating particles. The Neptune emerged directly beneath a Dominion battlecruiser, ramming upward into its belly. The Mars shot its harpoons through the cloud, blind firing based on last known positions. One harpoon found its mark, and the Mars pulled itself forward, reeling in its catch through the debris. "They're using primitive concealment tactics," Vex realized, "like their ancient warriors hiding in fog." The commander's respect for these humans grew, mixed with something he hadn't felt in centuries: fear. "Deploy fighter screens," Vex ordered. Small ships, close-range defense. Hundreds of Dominion fighters launched from carrier bays. Each fighter was a marvel of engineering, equipped with shields and weapons that could level cities. But they were designed for dogfights in open space, not the chaotic melee that humanity had created. Captain Miller of the Neptune had prepared for this too. "Release the net." The Neptune's sides opened, deploying a massive wire net studded with magnetic mines. The net spread wide, carried by small thrusters at each corner. Dominion fighters, moving too fast to change course, flew straight into it. The mines detonated, not with enough force to breach shields, but enough to tangle and disable engines. Dozens of fighters found themselves wrapped in wire, spinning helplessly. The Venus used its flail in a new way, spinning it to create a defensive barrier around itself. Any fighter that came too close was swatted away like an insect. The Saturn extended all 6 of its mechanical arms, each one grabbing fighters and crushing them like tin cans. "This is madness," one of Vex's lieutenants shouted. "They fight without honor, without rules." "No," Vex corrected, his voice thoughtful. "They fight to survive." There's nothing more honorable than that. The commander accessed his fleet's historical database, searching for anything similar to these tactics. He found nothing. Every species the Dominion had conquered had tried to match them technology for technology. None had ever thought to simply ignore the technological gap and fight dirty. New plan, Vex announced. If they want to fight like primitives, we'll trap them like primitives. The Dominion fleet formed a sphere formation, with the largest ships on the outside and smaller vessels within. It was a tactic from their own ancient history. Before they had achieved space flight a defensive circle, like wagons in their planet's frontier days. Captain James studied the new formation. They're learning, he admitted. Time to teach them another lesson. Sir, the asteroid belt is only 10,000 kilometers away, Smith reported. James smiled. Perfect. All ships follow the Titan. We're going to show them how humans used terrain. Long before we reached the stars, the human fleet turned as one, burning hard toward the asteroid belt. The Dominion followed, maintaining their defensive sphere. Vex knew it might be a trap, but he couldn't let the humans escape. His reputation, his entire career, depended on crushing this primitive rebellion. As the two fleets entered the asteroid field, the real chaos began. The humans had spent weeks hiding weapons, here spring-loaded spear launchers, bolted to asteroids, proximity mines that moved too slowly to trigger shields, and most importantly, dozens of automated welding drones reprogrammed for a very different purpose. The trap was set. Now it was time to spring it. The asteroid field became a three-dimensional maze of death. Dominion ships, maintaining their defensive sphere, had to constantly adjust course to avoid massive floating rocks. Their formation began to stretch and distort. Now, Captain James commanded. Hidden among the asteroids, the human traps activated. Spring-loaded launchers fired telephone pole-sized spears from a dozen directions. The spears moved slowly enough to pass through shields, but fast enough to puncture hulls. Welding drones, reprogrammed by Earth's engineers, swarmed toward the alien ships with their torches burning bright. What are those things? A Dominion officer cried out as dozens of small drones attached to their hull. The drones began cutting. They weren't sophisticated, just simple machines designed to join metal plates. But against shield generators and weapon ports, they were devastating. The drones cut through sensor arrays, welded gun ports shut, and carved random patterns into hulls like vandals with spray paint. Commander Vex watched 3 of his destroyers collide as their navigation systems failed. Pull back, all ships retreat from the asteroid field. But the humans had anticipated this. The Jupiter and Mars had circled around, using Jupiter's massive gravity well to slingshot themselves behind the Dominion fleet. As the aliens retreated, they found human ships waiting. The Jupiter fired its catapults, launching massive titanium spears that had been charging in electromagnetic accelerators. Each spear weighed 50 tons and moved just slowly enough to ghost through shields. A Dominion carrier took 5 spears through its launch bays, the impacts destroying dozens of fighters preparing to launch. "We're surrounded," Vex's lieutenant reported. "They've turned the entire asteroid field into a weapon." The Venus demonstrated a new tactic. Its crew had wrapped its flail chain around a small asteroid, essentially creating a 10,000-ton hammer. The ship spun, building momentum, then released. The asteroid smashed into a Dominion cruiser with the force of atomic weapons, crushing. Half the ship instantly. Captain James focused on the real prize, Vex's flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Eternal Supremacy. It was the largest ship in the Dominion fleet, bristling with weapons that could sterilize entire continents. "All ships converge on my mark," James ordered. "Time for the hammer and anvil." It was a tactic as old as warfare itself. Half the human fleet would drive the enemy toward the other half. In space, with 3 dimensions to work with, it should have been impossible. But the asteroid field limited movement, creating natural channels and barriers. The Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn pushed from below, forcing Dominion ships upward. The Titan, Venus, and Mars waited above, weapons ready. Caught between the two forces, the aliens had nowhere to run. Break formation. Vex ordered, "Every ship for itself." It was the worst thing he could have done. Without coordinated defense, individual Dominion ships became easy prey. The humans worked in wolf packs. 3 or 4 ships attacking single targets. One ship would ram, another would spear, a third would grapple. The aliens, used to organized battle lines and coordinated fire patterns, fell into chaos. The Saturn grabbed a Dominion frigate with all 6 arms and literally pulled it apart, each arm taking a piece. The Mercury had deployed its chains in a web pattern, creating a barrier that trapped 2 alien destroyers. The trapped ships fired their weapons wildly, hitting their own allies as often as the humans. Captain James saw his opening. The Eternal Supremacy had isolated itself, trying to gain distance for its main cannon. The massive weapon was charging, its barrel glowing with power that could crack the Titan in half. "Full speed ahead," James ordered. "All power to engines." "Captain, that's suicide," Smith protested. "Not if we're faster than their targeting computer. Trust me." The Titan accelerated beyond safe limits. The ship groaned under the stress, bolts shearing, plates buckling. The distance closed rapidly. 5 kilometers. 3, 1. The Eternal Supremacy's cannon fired at the last second. James activated the maneuvering thrusters, rolling the Titan into a spiral. The energy beam passed through where they had been, missing by meters. The Titan's sword, still extended, carved along the dreadnought's entire length as they corkscrewed past. The blade found the main reactor housing. "Clear the blast zone." James shouted. The Eternal Supremacy exploded with the force of a small star. The shock wave sent the Titan tumbling, but the sturdy human ship held together. When the light faded, Commander Vex's flagship was gone, reduced to an expanding cloud of superheated gas. The remaining Dominion ships stopped fighting. Without their commander, without their flagship, they hung motionless in space. Humanity had done the impossible. They had brought knives to a gunfight and destroyed the greatest warship in the Dominion fleet. Asterisk. The remaining Dominion ships floated in silence, their weapons powered down. Without Commander Vex, without the Eternal Supremacy, they were lost. These beings had followed orders for thousands of years, conquering in formation, winning through. Superior firepower. They had never learned to fight like individuals. A new voice crackled across the communication channels. It was Sub-Commander Zack, now the highest-ranking Dominion officer alive. "Human vessels ... we request terms." Captain James could hardly believe what he was hearing. The mighty Dominion, conquerors of 1,000 worlds, were surrendering to a species that had strapped swords to spaceships. Admiral Cooper's voice came from Earth. "Captain James, you are authorized to accept their surrender." History is watching. James opened a channel to the alien fleet. "This is Captain James of Earthship Titan. You came to our world demanding our surrender. You threatened our families, our children, our future. Now you float broken before us, defeated by the very weapons you mocked as primitive." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Here are our terms. Leave, and never return. Tell every species, every empire, every would-be conqueror what happened here. Tell them that humans don't need advanced technology to defend their home. We just need the will to fight and the creativity to win." Sub-Commander Zack's response was heavy with disbelief. "You ... You're letting us go? We're not conquerors." James replied, "We're defenders. But mark my words, if you or anyone else threatens Earth again, we'll be ready. And next time, we might not be so merciful." One by one, the Dominion ships powered up their engines. They gathered their damaged vessels, collected escape pods, and began the slow retreat from Earth's solar system. As they departed, Sub-Commander Zack sent one final message. The galaxy will know of this day. They will know of the humans who fought. Starships with swords and won. Your species. You are either insane or brilliant, perhaps both. As the alien fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Earth erupted in celebration. Cities that had prepared for annihilation instead witnessed victory. Children who had hidden in bunkers came out to see the sky still blue, still free. But the real impact came in the weeks that followed. On the planet Kepler, the insect-like hive, Queen reviewed the battle footage transmitted by the fleeing Dominion. Her compound eyes studied how the Venus had wielded its flail. Within days, her engineers were designing similar weapons. In the Andromeda sector, the crystalline beings known as the Shapers began growing their ships with hardened spikes and rams. Inspired by the Neptune's brutal efficiency, the warrior culture of the Red Suns immediately started training in what they called human combat, abandoning their energy lances for massive metal clubs. Even the peaceful Federation of Light, who hadn't fought a war in millennia, began retrofitting their ships with defensive blades, just in case. The news spread faster than light itself. The humans, barely spacefaring for 3 decades, had defeated the ancient Dominion using weapons from their prehistoric past. Military academies across the galaxy added new courses. Primitive warfare in advanced settings, and the human doctrine, when technology fails. Captain James stood on the observation deck of the Titan, now docked at Earth's primary station. The ship's massive sword was being polished and reinforced. Not removed, never removed. It had become a symbol. Lieutenant Smith joined him. "Sir, do you think they'll come back?" "Maybe. Probably. The galaxy is full of species who think might makes right." James turned to face his officer. "But they'll think twice now. They'll remember what happened when they brought guns to a sword fight with humans." Earth's shipyards continued working, but now with a different purpose. Alongside the swords and spears, they were mounting newer weapons hybrid designs that combined primitive and advanced concepts. Railguns that fired sword-shaped projectiles. Energy fields that enhanced ram impacts. The best of both worlds. A month later, Earth received its first alien visitors who came in peace. The ambassador from the neutral zone approached with all weapons powered down and a simple message. "We wish to learn the human way of war, not to conquer, but to defend ourselves as you defended yourselves." Humanity had changed the galaxies. Understanding of warfare forever. They had proven that advanced technology meant nothing without the will to use whatever was necessary to survive. In the vast cosmos, where energy weapons and shields had ruled for millennia, humans had brought back the blade, the spear, the simple brutality of close combat. And everyone, everywhere, now knew one truth. Never, ever underestimate the humans. They might just hit you with a spaceship-sized sword, asterisk,